All right, welcome everyone to the Magic 2024 World Championship Draft Pod for day number 1. This is Duskmourn Draft, and I wanted to take some time to go ahead and watch this draft live with you guys and kind of just give my perspective on the picks and see what these people are going to be drafting. So at our featured drafting table, we have Simon Nielsen, who was one of the best players in the world last year. I think he's the person with the highest play points in the world in terms of winning the Player of the Year award. Other than that, I'm not too familiar with a lot of these people. I think I've heard of Kenta Makasudo, Atsushi Nakashima, and Shinya Saito, but I haven't heard of any of these other people. So this will be very, very interesting to see. I always find it interesting how people from other countries evaluate cards differently and draft differently. But let's hop right into it. In this format, I'm honestly looking to start green in a competitive table. Like, if I could start with a Spineseeker Centipede, I'm hyped. Okay, he has a Reluctant Role Model.
Role model pulled to the front as well as unable to scream. Anything else standing out?
Break down the door.
Yeah, I love
He's not bringing that to the front? Bro, what?
Just absolutely incredible. It's just super.
Are you kidding me?
There's a lot of artifacts and enchantments that you want to kill in the set, and I also like starting either green or red. I think they're the two best colors in the set, so that's something that I would be looking at. Now, most people are going to see Reluctant Role Model, and they're like, "Oh, it's a rare. I got it."
I'm going to be honest. I would not start Reluctant Role Model, especially in the Pro Tour. Like, even on Arena, I don't even like starting Reluctant Role Model that much because, like, when you think about it like this in the Pro Tour, you have such a smaller window to pivot over to a different deck. Like, there are a lot of times in a Pro Tour pod where you may not end up with enough playables to be able to be a, like, 2-color pair deck because people are just not giving you any free passes. And with white, there's literally 2 decks that the Reluctant Role Model could go into. And white has the lowest amount of decks that are actually decks you want to go into in the format. To be honest, I'm starting with Break Down the Door here. If you're starting with Unable to Scream, okay. But to be honest, I'm starting with Break Down the Door because I just want to get into green. And also, to my knowledge, there's only one other green card in this pack. I think it's Grasping Longneck. And so by sending that signal in the direction you're passing to, you're kind of telling other people not to play green.
Take it. I just find Survival is mostly a trap, and it just doesn't happen as often as you'd like. It's a good card, but I'd much rather take a removal.
Wow, okay. So he's going to take the Unable to Scream. It is important to note that if he's taking the Reluctant Role Model, there was a red-white land in that pack, and that is a card that could come back. And starting with the Reluctant Role Model or even the Glassworks and getting that red-white land would be kind of nice. Because I do feel like in the Pro Tour, you're a lot more likely to end up in a Jeskai deck than you are just in a blue-white or red-white deck.
There's also a Glassworks there, but he did go with Unable to Scream.
Please pick up the pack. You have 35 seconds.
Here.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, Unable to Scream is fantastic, and it's Blue's best removal spell. I don't think Blue's had a removal spell.
Okay, there's a Bottomless Pool. This guy's getting so rewarded. Are you kidding me? And there's a Meathook Massacre too. Okay. And a Scorching Dragonfire. All right, this person took a bomb rare. Yeah, the person who opened this pack got a bomb ass rare because this pack is insane. Simon's starting pack was mid as fuck. This pack is literally ridiculous.
Yeah, great pack here. Ton of removal. There's also a Bottomless Pool in the pack.
5 seconds.
Is a monster emergency.
I'm taking the Bottomless Pool here. This is an easy Bottomless Pool, getting deeper into blue. I think Bottomless Pool is probably better than Scorching Dragonfire.
So I just think starting with the Scorching Dragonfire, you just can't go wrong with that.
I guess. I would 100% take the Bottomless Pool. Because he already passed, like, a decent amount of red in that first pack.
Now, a little concerning for him, though. He is blue and red currently. Let's call it not a favored archetype among top players.
Yeah, so, like, the thing about taking that Scorching Dragonfire here is, yes, it might be slightly better than Bottomless Pool in terms of, like, I guess red has, like, one more playable deck that you would want to be going into. But by taking that Scorching Dragonfire here, you're essentially saying one of these cards may not end up in my deck. Unless I end up in Teamer, which you're not starting with a green card, so that's not even, like, confirmed. Most of the time, I would say you're not going to be playing both of those cards in the same deck. Especially because you're not going to get that much fixing in the Pro Tour. Like, I think that's way less likely. That's why I think the Bottomless Pool was just all around better.
It's a very difficult one to make work. Ooh, but he got a Patchwork Beastie here. And anything else even? Oh, there's a turn inside out there as well.
Yeah, there's a Cursed Windbreaker, which is very good, particularly in blue-green, because you have a lot of the manifest.
He's putting the liver die to the front? That's weird.
Better.
I'm not taking the liver die all day.
Patchwork Beastie. It's just amazing. One drop.
You're taking the Patchwork Beastie. It's just like the only good card in that pack. Let's be real.
Just a 1-mana 3/3. Delirium is just so easy to turn on when you're green.
That's right. One of the better one drops.
Bro,
that you can...
this would be so insane if he would have taken the bottomless pool. Because then he would have 2 blue cards that work really well with Patchwork Beastie and a Patchwork Beastie.
See, I think I would take Optimistic Scavenger over it as a
Please
scary
pick up the pack.
turn
You have
one play, but
25
Beastie's
seconds.
solid.
Yes, that is.
The Beastie is one of my favorite cards. I think that card's insane. Oh, there's a Ride of the Moth. Wow.
For pick 4. 3 different colors so far out of 3.
Slimy Aquarium. Is that a defaced gallery? I think it is.
See a Final Vengeance, which is good. But, oh, that's a late. That's a pretty late Painter Studio. I absolutely love this card. This card just gives you so much value. It allows you to push through for extra damage. I think I would take this, and this seems to me like it's.
I would have probably.
That red might be open.
Okay, so given what he started with, that is probably the best card. But think about if you would have done my path, he would now have just picked up a 3rd blue card that also is a card, Slimy Aquarium, Underwater Tunnel. That is probably best played in a blue-green deck. And he would be in a great position to either be blue-green or blue-white, which are arguably 2 out of 4 of the tier 1 decks in the format. But obviously, considering he took the Scorching Dragonfire over the bottomless pool, the Defaced Gallery is just the best card for him. But I feel like he kind of just threw away one of those picks. Like, he's either going to end up, like, having to splash the Unable to Scream, which I don't think is great in red-green. Because, like, the best red-green decks are decks that I think you would prefer not to splash in. Especially because you're probably not going to get, like, free fixing in this pod.
We got the second pick Dragonfire, and Painter Studio is certainly a card that I've taken pretty early before. Seeing it 4th could be a sign, so now you're pretty happy.
I don't think that's a sign at all.
Out of your 4, so you're at least red. Gotta figure out what your second color is going to be.
Yeah, Defaced Gallery, the other...
Okay, there's a Glimmerlight, Fear Being Hunted.
Oh, look at this. Fear of Being Hunted.
Oh, and a Terramorphic. I'm slamming the Terramorphic if I'm him.
Wow, red's open.
I'm slamming the Terramorphic all day.
A pack like this, there's also Sporogenic Infection. So what you know, oftentimes it's easy to just slam the card you know you're going to take, which is going to be the Fear of Being Hunted here. But keep an eye out for the other cards and the other colors that you see that are good. So in this case, Sporogenic Infection is a good card. So you go, well, you know what? Maybe
okay, this guy has no respect for playing all of the cards he selected. He's kind of just throwing away his Unable to Scream pick. I honestly don't know why he would not take that Terramorphic. Because he has a Patchwork Beastie, a Defaced Gallery, and he also has a Unable to Scream and a Scorching Dragonfire. And it's very easy to end up Teamer. I 100% would take the Terramorphic because in this pod, the Terramorphics are not going to go late. And that is probably the best card you could start off with on turn 1 in a green deck. It's going to enable him to potentially play all of the cards he's selected thus far, and it makes his Patchwork Beastie pick way better.
Red-black is a color combination that it could potentially end up in, given that pack.
Yeah, because right now, you know...
Also, I want to note, I don't think that Fear of Being Hunted is that premium. The thing about this card is, number 1, it's a lot worse when you are going second, in my opinion, because then your opponent has the opportunity to develop, like, multiple guys, and at that point, they might have one of them that kills this. And number 2, this is saying that he's going to be base red in order to play this. And I don't even think this card is that good in red-green in my experience. Because oftentimes, when you're playing a red-green deck, you may not be able to have double red up on turn 3. And I just think that's like a big commitment for a card that doesn't have that high of a ceiling. Like, this card is best played in red-black or red-white. And I'm not sure that he's really in a good position to do one of those things. Like, really, the only thing that's going to make me go red-black is if I get a Disturbing Mirth.
If red's going to flow like this, Simon will be happy to commit to
I just think that was super greedy not to take the Terramorphic. Terramorphic's just one of the best cards in the format. Oh, this pack is garbage. Yeah, this pack is so bad.
Happy playing with almost any card in this pack.
Okay. I want to point this out again. if he would have went down my pathway, where he had taken the bottomless pool and the slimy aquarium, he would now have, I believe, 4 blue cards, 1 green card. No, he would have 3 blue cards, 1 green card, a Terramorphic Expanse, and he would now be taking this Misty Salon Smoky Lounge, which he would already have 2 rooms for, and that would put him in an amazing position to either just be green-blue and have this card as like a solid playable, or splash red as well for additional rooms because he has the Terramorphic, and he would be able to go Teamer rooms, which are 2 decks that I find myself ending up with quite a bit, really. Like, I think that one thing that's good about Teamer is that you can very easily just load up with all of the removal and not really prioritize creatures. And so you're just getting all this premium early game interaction. And most of the rooms you're playing give you bodies. And so the Smoky Lounge Misty Salon just serves as an alternative win condition. And it basically just gives you a way to win the game without having to devote that many picks to it. And he would have an insane start to this draft if he would have done that. But now he's put himself in a terrible situation because that's the only good card in this pack.
Upside, right? Because you already have a painter's
highest upside. None of these cards in the pack have upside besides that card. Are you kidding me?
This is certainly the type of card that you would like if you do end up in blue-red.
Yeah, and this is what you'll see top players do is even if Simon's not planning on playing Smoky Lounge, it's the upside pick. It's the one that has the...
It's also just like the only actual playable card in that pack.
For him, Creeping Peeper and a Bedhead Beastie.
Oh my gosh. If he would have went down my pathway, the Creeping Peeper would actually be a card you would want to play in your deck. 100%.
Fear of Lost Teeth also is also fine. Now, noting that
okay, if I'm being honest here, I think taking Fear of Lost Teeth is acceptable, but I don't think that that should have been the pick here 100%. So there are 2 ways that he could look at this pack. He's kind of set himself up to be base red, and he could move into black. But if he's moving into black, I would much rather have the Winter's Intervention because he doesn't have any copies of Final Vengeance, which is the main reason you would want to play Fear of Lost Teeth or Disturbing Mirth. And so for that reason, if he wanted to leave himself open to that route, I would take the Winter's Intervention. But in all honesty, I don't know that he is like super likely to be red-black because although he's seeing black cards, they aren't really reasons to move into that archetype, right? Like he's not seeing Sawblade Skin Ripper, he's not seeing Disturbing Mirth, he's not seeing any really bombs or like Fear of Burning Alive. What I would take here is just take the Pyroclasm because none of these cards are like 100% gonna hyper impact his deck in a positive way. But considering he is base red, there is a chance that someone else he's going against in one of his matches could use the Pyroclasm against him. And that is probably what I would take the pick on, just so that someone else couldn't be Pyroclasming me. I think you could also make the argument for taking the Bedhead Beastie here, since he already has a Patchwork Beastie, because that would make him more likely to have the option to end up in a Delirium Teamer deck, since he does have that Unable to Scream. And I actually don't mind the Bedhead Beastie.
That, in this best of 3 environment, Pyroclasm is a very powerful sideboard card. Also a card to consider, but pretty weak pack.
Please pick up the pack. You have 15 seconds.
He did take the Fear of Lost Teeth, so perhaps red not quite as open as we thought, though we'll see how this goes.
Oh my gosh.
For blue cards, was that...
Wow.
5 seconds.
So this pack has a red-green Verge land or a blue-red duel. Had we been down my pathway, we would have, I believe, 4 red cards, 1 green card, a Terramorphic Expanse, or we would have 5 blue cards because we would have ended up with the Creeping Peeper from last pack. And then we also have the 3 total rooms with the... 3 total rooms with the Steamy Salon Smoky Lounge. And so in this pack, it would be really advantageous to that pathway because he could easily take the blue-red land here, which would then turn on his Smoky Lounge side, which is the red side of Misty Salon, which allows you to add additional mana each turn. for all of your rooms. And that would be very advantageous to him because now he would have that plus a Terramorphic, which means from that point onward going into pack 2, if there's a powerful red card, blue card, or green card, he's going to be in a great position to take it. But now he's just put himself in a really weird situation where I think he kind of just has to hope that red-black becomes open and just end up with like a medium red-black deck. And let me tell you, if I had to choose between having a mediocre aggro deck or a mediocre teamer deck, a mediocre aggro deck or a teamer deck that has like really good late game, I'm going with the teamer deck every time.
Test either way, not super exciting for him.
Yeah, there's a fear fail test. There's a couple of lands here, the blue-red land and the red-green land.
Takes the blue-red land. I agree.
A fine option, but noting that there are 2 white cards in that pack, 2 commons that you could be happy playing with. Given that you're red-white is a fairly strong color combination, so could have maybe speculated on a white card there.
Well, he could take a red-white duel here or a ragged playmate, a fine playable.
Is this his original pack? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think this is his original pack, right? Because he had that red-white land. I guess here he just has to take the Ragged Playmate. But I will note Ragged Playmate is often not very good in a red-black deck. That card is basically a red-white gold card. It's like okay in red-black if you have like 3 Disturbing Mirth. So you're like manifesting Dread all the time and maybe you have Ticket Booth Tunnel of Hate. But at that point you already have a really good red-black deck. So it's not like Ragged Playmate is really like, it's just a win more card in that situation.
Yeah, I think at this point, this pack's not going super well, and you just need to keep taking red cards that you think have a shot of
pick up the
making it
pack.
into
You
your
have
deck.
10 seconds.
I think he's put himself in a really awkward situation. The Meat Hook Massacre number 2 comes back. That's crazy.
Card or anything
Wow.
like that, but it's a solid removal spell that you can just play and just keep taking the card.
Honestly, I kind of want to look back at this because early on there were some decent black cards. Like he had a Sporogenic Infection he could have taken. He could have had another Winter's Intervention. Black seems like it was definitely the most open color in this pack. And had he had started black, he would be in a fair position to play the Meat Hook Massacre 2 and just get it for free here. Also because he could have ended up with that Terramorphic Expanse. And like if you are able to like effectively play the Meat Hook Massacre more times than not, you're going to have the mana required to do it. It is a very good card.
In case you can pivot into red-black, because red-black is a strong color combination. It has excellent synergies.
You have 5
so
seconds.
right now, Simon's just a bunch of red cards.
Oh, wait, he's getting a turn inside out? Like pick 12? That's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
That is amazing.
3 cards to your
turn
left.
inside out is a
That's
very common
insane.
trick at common in the entire
Pick up
set.
the pack. You
Getting
have
that
5
late is a pretty good
seconds.
sign.
That was a better card than his last 3 picks.
I mean, pack 1's been kind of bad in
Yeah.
general.
Please pass 2 cards to your left. Pick up the pack. You have 5 seconds.
All right. Well, it does look like he's on the. I'm going to be.
Okay, he gets a
red,
leech.
most
I mean, that's just a
likely, and
2-drop.
the rest
And
later
please pass.
plan.
I will say, in his defense, this pack 1 really did not have like that much power. Like he didn't really see any like big signal cards that would reward him for going down a specific pathway. But I do think going deeper into blue and just trying to stay blue would have put him in a like higher ceiling position. Like seeing how things would have folded out, and that's what I would have done. But to be fair, it's not like he saw any like crazy signposts like Brood Spinner or, you know, Gremlin Tamer. Other than the Misty Salon Smoky Lounge, there were not really any cards that said, I want to go in this direction or I want to move into this archetype because of this card. I'm just really surprised he passed up on the bottomless pool, though, especially when he started with a blue card.
The last
He
card.
still has a patchwork BC, but there's been no green at all.
Yeah, it's felt like green was just straight up cut.
Green is extremely deep, Marshall.
Yeah.
Okay, but let me put this in perspective. So I think it was very fair for him to start blue and do what I said. You take the bottomless pool, and then you end up taking the Slimy Aquarium, the Terramorphic, and then you take a couple of like decent red cards. Then going into pack 2, because the packs are going to be past the opposite direction, that's when you could probably get in deeper on green. And as long as you end up with like any combination of like Spineseeker Centipede, Moldering Gem, or Overgrown Zealot, he's going to be able to easily just play the best cards out of red, blue, or green. And that Steamy Salon Smoky Lounge would have been crazy.
Picks, that
4
time
2-mana plays that you can take. Monstrous Emergence, where
So, quick little audit of the deck going into pack 2. He's basically in a situation where he's almost just like forcing himself into red-black. I guess maybe he could do like a late pivot into red-white. Although it's kind of hard to assess, was white just cut from the pack? Or were there just no powerful white cards opened? Because we did see some white cards, just nothing like super powerful or something that makes me want to move into white. And we are in the play booster era, so we do have to take that into consideration, that this set of packs could have just broken away where white just wasn't opened very like rewarding, right? So I think he's kind of just put himself in a bad position, because it's almost like in order to end up with enough playables, he might just have to force his way into red-black and just close his eyes and hope that he's past like Disturbing Mirth, Sawblade Skin Ripper, Final Vengeance, like all the cornerstone cards of that deck, which is never something I want to be doing. Because red-black is probably my favorite deck to play in this format outside of just like 4-color green decks. But I don't want to go into red-black without seeing cards like Disturbing Mirth, cards that really reward me for moving in that direction. I guess the card that like pushes him in that direction the most is Painter Studio Defaced Gallery. But if your deck isn't like super good at like having premium 2-drops at uncommon and stuff, the Painter Studio Defaced Gallery only does so much for you.
Watchdog, Manifest Dread. There's Mythic Common, Spineseeker Centipede, our favorite.
Right.
And we haven't seen anything remotely.
Okay, what is the rare here?
Green is open, so I think green is definitely not on the table. And
Wow, this pack is very similar to a previous one.
Blue, which is a weaker color combination, but he has maybe a slightly better card because he has the Unable to Scream, or perhaps move into red-black. But right now, I think Simon's just looking to be as open as possible. If he opens an Overlord of the Mistmoors, he's just going to slam it and move into red-white.
That's right.
Oh, I thought that was the pack he was opening. The way they were talking, I thought it was the pack.
Rare, right? Something really awesome, especially
My bad.
Double green, something
Like a Tyvar.
right.
Yeah.
Like that would be really tough for him because he knows that green is not going to be coming in pack 3. Theoretically, he could get hooked up for 1 pack, which that can be enough. Like
Right.
you said, green's very deep.
Exactly. I completely agree with Marshall. Had he have gotten super deep into blue, he could just get deep into green with fixing in this pack, and he would be in a great position to play Teamer Rooms, and easily the Steamy Salon Smoky Lounge would go into his deck.
No, they're not. But, you know, and the thing is, he didn't really see any of the sacrifice
players
cards, right? That's what
exactly.
you're
Pick
looking
up
for.
the
You want the
envelope marked
uncommon
1B.
creatures that let you sacrifice permanents.
Please open
But
it, ensure
there
that you
were,
remove
notably,
all of the
in the
cards.
first few packs, there were some Final Vengeances.
out
They didn't table.
Exactly. He didn't see any of the sacrifice synergies, and I just think it's really risky to move into red-black without seeing
Right
those.
now, he's going to keep himself super flexible. If he opens a Tyvar, he's probably just going to take it.
Okay, let's see what happens here. This is where option 1 for Simon is really powerful card that puts him in a direction. Option 2 is just
Players,
more good
please
red
pick up the
cards.
pack.
Like, you
You've
can
got
just
40
keep delaying the
seconds.
decision. Ooh, there's some good stuff. That was an oblivious
Okay.
bookworm.
Chard Fourier is the rare,
There's the center.
and there's a Centipede. So had he done what I said, the Centipede would be an easy slam here.
Okay, yeah.
But now I think he probably just takes the Irreverent Gremlin.
There's just not that many cards you're just going to take over the ground.
Bro, you're not taking Chard Fourier. You don't have any grind in this deck
Basic
right now.
creature, Let you cycle through your deck, get you Delirium. I just don't think there's the only other card that's on the power level or better is the Oblivious Bookworm, but that's so far removed.
Yeah, you take the Irreverent Gremlin here with what he's got set up and hope that you get past on the wheel either the Final Vengeance or the Tunnel of Hate. This seems to be a pretty powerful pack, so I would not be surprised if he gets one of those cards back. Especially because I don't think anyone else at the table is going to be interested in Final Vengeance unless there's another red-black player who just got like multiple Disturbing Mirths on the opposite side of the table.
That's a tough one.
Okay, so this pack has a Razorkin Needlehead. That's actually pretty good for him.
Needlehead pull to the
I don't think that card is that great, but if you're just like almost all mono red,
He says, "We'll
it's
see you
good.
later, Chief."
Yeah,
Okay, of note, there is a most valuable Slayer here.
Point at it.
Wow. Okay, so there's also a Say Its Name and Insidious Fungus. had he done the blue path, he would have now got hooked up with either the Charred Fourier, which would go really good in that deck because he has the Simi Salon Smoky Lounge, or he just takes the Centipede, which is the safe pick. I would have done that. And then in this pack, he would be able to follow that up with a Say Its Name, which would be really good. But here, I think he actually shouldn't take the Razorkin Needlehead. I think he should just go for the most valuable Slayer. And that's specifically because in pack 1, he picked up Fear of Being Hunted, which is the 3-mana 4/2 enchantment creature. Haste must be blocked if able. I don't think Razorkin Needlehead is like the hugest reward. I think that's a card to where, like, if you're already in the deck and there's nothing super premium, you can take it. I don't think it's really that much higher of a ceiling than MVS, but because he has that synergy of that creature must be blocked, if you play the MVS in the following turn, you're now just attacking with a must be blocked 5 attack first striker, and that is just going to very quickly end the game if your opponent doesn't have an efficient answer for it. So I would probably just take the MVS over the Needlehead.
The Excruciator in their deck.
That's really funny.
There's also a Drown Diner here, which would have been really good if you went deep into blue.
Right now, Simon is mostly mono-red, so it looks like he's going to heavily skew his mana base to play the Needlehead. I'm generally not a fan of the Needlehead just because I don't like double-colored 2-drops. Because you just rarely play them on turn 2. On a lot of instances.
Yeah, I don't think the Needlehead is that good here.
He has a Fear of Being Hunted. That's
Dude, that combo is gross.
Exactly. They're calling the Fear of Being Hunted combo out. Oh my gosh, there's Disturbing Mirth. This guy's getting rewarded. Are you kidding me?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Scorching Dragonfire, Disturbing Mirth. This is an easy Disturbing Mirth. I have a bias. I'm taking the Disturbing Mirth.
And it's your mono red. It's really, really easy. But if you're in red black, Disturbing Mirth is a better card, right? Disturbing Mirth.
Okay, I just want to point this out since he has a Disturbing Mirth here, and it's likely he's going to move into red black. Even though he started this pathway, I still think it was better to take the Terramorphic in that one pack. Because he didn't really get a super premium card. And the Terramorphic is unassumingly really strong in red-black because it allows you to trigger the effects of your other cards that trigger off of sacrifice, such as your Sawblade Skin Ripper to be able to ping something. And in this deck, you commonly want to play Fear of Being Alive if you're offered it, which is just another reward for having a Terramorphic. And it's just like, a lot of times in these Pro Tour drafts, you're not going to end up with a 2-color deck with a large amount of like awesome playable cards. So the Terramorphic just leaves you so open to splash like 1 or 2 potential good cards from another color that you're forced to play regardless. But I think this is just an easy Disturbing Mirth slam here. Like, I don't think he's in a good position to go red-white. We haven't seen any really powerful cards from white.
Is a better card. It's one of the best. It's one of the It's a lot better. It's one of the best signposts on comments in the entire set.
Is it a lot better? I think I would take the Scorching Dragonfire. Okay.
Really? You would take the Scorching Dragonfire? I'm slamming the Mirth every time.
Right.
It also makes his pick of Fear of Lost Teeth a lot better because he now has a turn Inside Out and a Fear of Lost Teeth. He has a turn Inside Out and a Disturbing Mirth for the Fear of Lost Teeth, which gives him a really good synergy there. So this is probably just an easy Sporogenic Infection. Honestly, this pack is just relatively weak. But man, if he would have started blue, he would be in a great position to just take the Defiant Survivor here, or even the Moldering Gem Weight Room, and be able to just get huge dividends paid off for getting that free Smoky Lounge Missy Salon. And who knows, he might have ended up with a Charred Fourier also.
Very narrow, but still, this is World Championship. Like,
I mean, somebody's just going to take it.
Yeah, somebody's going to be like, yeah. No.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, was that Midnight
That's a Midnight Mayhem.
Yeah.
He could splash that.
Now it's like,
Bro, please do not take this Violent Urge. If he takes this Violent Urge, I'm going to cringe so hard. That card is not even good in decks where you are able to easily enable Delirium. The reason Turn Inside Out is so good is because it's low risk. Because even if they have a counter, like a counter magic or a combat trick of their own, you still just get a body, right? Like, Violent Urge, I've just found is terrible, even in my red-green decks, where I get Delirium by turn 3. Like, I just don't think it's that good.
I can fire. You could take the Midnight Mayhem.
Right.
Because that's one of the best Boros uncommons.
But he made that choice, and he's just going to have to take Violent Urge, which is like, fine.
He doesn't have to take Violent Urge. Okay. That is strictly incorrect. He does not have to just take Violent Urge. Violent Urge is a card that, let's be real, his creatures aren't that big. It's only really going to be applicable if he goes against someone who also has small creatures, which I will say is not the majority of the meta. And on top of that, you know, I don't think that Violent Urge, even if it works, is going to have a super high ceiling. You know, other than the Disturbing Mirth, he doesn't have a lot of things that immediately put stuff in the grave. He doesn't have like a Tunnel of Hate. He has one turn inside out, but not really the best creatures to enter combat with. But if he takes the Midnight Mayhem here, we did see a red-white land go all the way around the table to like pick 12 before someone took it in pack 1, which means if another one of those is opened, and black was relatively open, if he gets either a black-white land or a red-white land here, he could easily splash the Midnight Mayhem, which is a really strong synergy with Disturbing Mirth. And especially if he gets a Final Vengeance or if he gets a Sawblade Skin Ripper, I've found that if you're playing more of a mid-rangey red-black deck and you end up with enough lands, the Midnight Mayhem is actually worth the splash. I believe at the time of this recording, it is the second highest win rate uncommon.
Red-black, just because you're not really manifesting, you're just going to need a bunch of sacrifice effects and a bunch of innocuous rats to get there.
I always feel bad for Violent Urge because turn inside out just kind of.
Please pick up the
yeah,
pack.
it's like, hi, I'm a common. I'm just
100%.
It's much better.
Okay, I also want to put this in perspective. We did see at the end of pack 1, he got that turn inside out, pick 12 or pick 13, I believe. And Violent Urge is objectively just a worse turn inside out. So with that logic, it's not against the laws of probability for him to wheel that Violent Urge either in this pack. You know, so that's even more reason to take the Midnight Mayhem.
Hey, come on.
Wow, he's getting hooked up with a lot of green.
And hand that feeds. So
you were talking about the mana situation.
I think he just needs the hand that feeds here.
So I think in general, Murder might be a slightly better card. I actually think it's kind of close. Double black is a big thing. But if you notice, Simon Nielsen has Razorkin Needlehead in his deck. And he really wants to skew his mana base where it's nearly mono-red. Maybe 10-7, maybe 11-6 for Mountains versus Swamps. So it makes sense to take the hand that feeds here because he thinks Murder is just not going to be the type of card that you can cast that easily. Also, red-black has a ton of removal. Like Murder's...
Oh, that's a Percussionist. That's an easy slam.
Oh,
yes. In the house.
Easy. Easy, baby. We're locked in. Give us one more Disturbing Mirth and it's a 3-0, baby. Wow, this guy got rewarded so hard for no reason.
It's one of the best comments in the set.
It's crazy, like, how many different pathways there are in this format, and that makes it one of the best of all time, in my opinion. Because, honestly, if he started blue in pack 1, he would have just got that land, the blue-green land in that pack, got hooked up with a bunch of green. I think if he went blue-green, his deck would be just as good, if not better. And I don't think the position he's in is terrible because he got hooked up with the Disturbing Mirth. So it's crazy he actually had two possible pathways of, like, decks he could end up with decent playables. I actually think the Veteran Survivor there was a bad pick. I think he should have taken the Friendly Teddy because he already has a Delirium payoff in the form of hand that feeds. And he doesn't have a lot of premium 2-drops. Friendly Teddy is fine. Like, if he ends up with that Tunnel of Hate, potentially wheeling from the first pack, he ends up with another Disturbing Mirth. Friendly Teddy is one of the better ways to enable Delirium, because you have to put in perspective, the other colors outside of green don't have a lot of premium artifact creatures. So if his deck ends up really caring about Delirium, I think the Friendly Teddy would overall be better, and he just wants as many 2-drops as possible. You know, he does have the turn inside out. He also has the Disturbing Mirth, which Friendly Teddy isn't one of the worst cards to sacrifice off Disturbing Mirth. You know, it's not something that's going to change his deck drastically, but I do think it was a bigger reward.
Oof.
Wow, this pack is all blue. He's being punished for not starting blue.
And
the Curse Windbreaker table, that's a little surprising. That card's very, very good.
Card's solid.
Yeah, that's crazy. If he would have started blue in pack 1, he would be so rewarded here. This would be the freest 3-0 of his life.
I can also pivot into white. Let's say I open an Overlord of the Mistmoors. Maybe I'll just go ahead.
Okay, if he's based here, he'll take the Excruciator.
Because if you look, he only picked up 2 black.
If he goes for the Cracked Skull, not based at all. If he goes for the Excruciator, he's extremely based.
The problem with this pack, outside of the Mirth, is he didn't get any sacrifice outlets. He got the one.
Boo.
He needs things to sacrifice to the Mirth and other ways to
Okay, the Demonic Council? Dude, if he would have taken Excruciator, he could have searched the Demonic Council. That would have been funny.
The power in black-red.
Wow, he would have got a late Vanish from Sight 2. The rewards for being blue in pack 1 are just so, like, unignorable. Bro, I swear, this guy might legitimately have to play a bear trap. I've done over 100 drafts and have never had a reason or just had to play a bear trap at all because that card's freaking ass. This guy just put himself in like a weird situation. Think about how trash his deck would be if he didn't just get gifted Disturbing Mirth. If he did not get gifted a Disturbing Mirth, he would literally have like no B+ cards in his deck. And that would be really sad. This deck is like very borderline playable.
In the format, you just almost never run out of things to do with your mana. So it's so important to play to the board and make sure that you have enough things to do early. Now, I
don't think he has that many creatures.
8 2-mana creatures, but some combination of...
And the creatures he has just like aren't that great. Like he has a Needlehead and a Gremlin and a Fear of Lost Teeth. That's like okay.
You're gonna need to be able to match them curve for curve.
And he has a hand that feeds, so he has like 5 or 6.
Just make sure you curve out well.
So with the Percussionist, I think he has like 6 total cards that are like decent to play before turn 2 or less.
But this synergy stuff is not there right now.
Yeah, his deck has almost no synergy. He just has like a Disturbing Mirth and like his deck looks extremely mid.
Sacrifices, he's got the Disturbing Mirth.
Yeah, he's got the Mirth and
you kind of want a few other things here.
Yeah. Not enough.
Also, this is a particularly aggressive leaning version. Lots of combat tricks and a low curve.
Yeah, so
maybe you don't need quite as many.
Yeah, that's kind of the backup plan. I think Simon is.
He's playing the Winner's Intervention for sure.
And stuff, he's just gonna slam them. Really, really great with the Mirth, but I think he's still.
So he's got like 16 or 17 playables going into pack 3. That's not terrible.
And then at uncommon, we're looking at cards like Solid.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Even a Diversion Specialist.
And red will probably be open in this pack, I would assume.
So it would be a fine card to play kind of at the top end of your mana curve here.
If he gets 2 Disturbing Mirth in this next pack, he's going to make me eat my words. And this would be like the craziest turnaround I've ever seen. Remember, it is the Play Booster era. So if you end up putting yourself in the position of being in the open lane at your seat in the table, you do get massively rewarded in pack 3 on average. But his deck does not look very good. Red, black, no sacrifice. That's funny.
Again, we talked about how just this is a World Championship level draft. This is not your best of one arena draft where you just get absolutely everything.
Right.
So, you know, like no draft is going to look perfect. And I think given what Simon has seen so far, I think he's drafted his seed reasonably well. I think the only close...
Reasonably well. I don't think he did.
Versus the Dragonfire, and then possibly the Razorkin Needlehead versus the most valuable Slayer.
I'm actually very surprised. Oh yeah, he didn't even take the most valuable Slayer. I forgot about that. The most valuable Slayer would actually be pretty good in this deck.
A nice payoff. For this
Players
deck.
at this time, please pick up the pack. You have 40 seconds.
I think he just took the Needlekin because he wanted a reward. Okay, the rare is
So that's not it.
that green-white rare. That's not good. Oh, this pack is bad.
This is a rough...
Yeah, this pack is terrible.
I mean,
It's more of what he already has.
Yeah,
Bro, you're not playing the trap in the screen. Put it at the back of the pack. You're not playing it, bro. You're not playing it. You have enough playables to go red-black. That's just going to hurt your deck. Your deck's way too low curve. You can take the...
though is just turn inside out.
Okay, he takes the turn inside out here, tries to wheel the Saw. The Saw would actually make his deck a decent amount better because it just allows him to get rid of redundant cards and maybe draw into removal.
It is. This is the adult choice for sure.
This is a player that
If he wheels the Saw, that would extremely benefit him because that is a sacrifice outlet, remember, and he does need those.
or a signpost uncommon.
Yeah, just an uncommon would be good. There's a lot of them that would help him out.
Oh!
Speaking of...
I mean, that's just an easy slam of the Undead Sprinter.
Yeah, and there's also a Percussionist, which is obviously very good.
Bro, you're not taking the Percussionist. You're taking the Undead Sprinter. Card's just broken.
And every time I play with this card, I always go, oh, do I have to, like, go through hoops? No. You trade, and then you play it again. It's a 3/3
And it's bigger. Yeah.
Funny enough, I've actually played red-black. I think it's one of my highest played decks in the format. I've never gotten the opportunity to use Undead Sprinter, but that card is insane. Anytime someone plays it against me, like, it's just GG.
Any red deck, effectively.
Shuffle and
But
lay out
Sprinter's
12
Wow.
cards to your
And
left.
Well, that is a reward.
You know, the echoes of the Mirth pick.
He does need good 2-drops.
Right now.
And it's a good card to use with turn inside out because it has trample. Not that many creatures in this format have trample. Oh my gosh, that was another fear of being hunted. And a final vengeance. Wow, that's tough.
Vengeance. Ooh. So now he has to decide.
Okay, let's talk about this. So had he taken the most valuable Slayer in that last pack, he would be in a great position to take this fear of being hunted. That would be absolutely absurd. So he's really being punished for not taking that most valuable Slayer and instead taking the Needlehead. He also just got incredibly punished for not being blue in pack 1. But here, I think I actually am leaning more towards taking the Tunnel of Hate here and trying to wheel the Final Vengeance. He already has some decent interaction. Remember, he does have a Scorching Dragonfire. He also has, I believe, 2 Winter's Intervention. And I think he had some other piece of interaction. I forgot. Oh, no, he has a Sporogenic Infection. That's what it is. So he has some interaction. And just with the way that this draft is panned out, I think it's fairly likely he's going to see at least one more Final Vengeance, because I do not believe there's another red-black drafter at the table, and that's really a red-black gold card. So I think Tunnel of Hate here is the correct pick. Had he taken the MVS, we're going fear of being hunted here every time. You have to risk it. Like, your deck is already bad. You need to get lucky in order to win here. You go Tunnel of Hate every time.
I think good shot, you take Fear of Being Hunted, but I think Final Vengeance is the pick here because
really? I disagree completely.
You have that Disturbing Mirth. Disturbing Mirth is not that great.
I just think it's way higher of a likelihood for him to see another Final Vengeance than it is for him to see a Tunnel of Hate again. Because decks outside of red-black would be willing to play a Tunnel of Hate, especially in this competitive format. That card is a lot better because you're not going to get super premium cards. It's also a card that manifests Dreads, which helps his hand that feeds. And just having a way to push through damage in the late game in a low curve deck and get something in your deck to be able to spend your mana on when you're at 5 or 6 lands and have all these 2-drops, I think just goes such a long way.
If you can't sacrifice it, right? You need to be able to find ways to sacrifice it, and right now, Simon has almost no ways to do so. So I think
also, if he gets that Saw to wheel here, he would be able to get a huge advantage from that. Oh my gosh. He's going to get 2 Undead Sprinter? This guy is the luckiest person in the world. Are you kidding me? How is he just getting so rewarded? Wow, that's tough. No, it's not tough at all. That's just an easy Undead Sprinter. You're just grunting the fact that you had to choose both those cards in the same pack. I mean, that's just insane. Double Sprinter in this pod. And there was a Fear of Lost Teeth. That pack was just literally made for Simon Nielsen. Wow. Change his name from Mr. Checklist to Mr. Undead Sprinter. Okay, there you go. I literally called it. I literally called it. That is another Final Vengeance. Had he taken the Tunnel of Hate, I think that this Final Vengeance would feel a lot better. Yeah, okay, he has 2 Undead Sprinters, sure. But I just think the Tunnel of Hate would be so advantageous for him. He doesn't have that many 3-drops, remember. I think he just has that Fear of Being Hunted. And it would give him a good card to sacrifice with the Final Vengeance. Like, other than his Percussionist, like, Fear of Lost Teeth is okay. But in a lot of game states, it's not that good. You know, like, I just think that the Tunnel of Hate would have been so much better here. Obviously, getting a Final Vengeance is still good, but I think it would have been more rewarding had he taken the Tunnel of Hate.
He needed the sacrifice cards. Final Vengeance is a premium removal spell in black-red.
But dude, this guy's just getting hooked up.
Simon being able to go double Final Vengeance.
Like, this guy is getting hooked up. He must just be playing a quick draft, bro. He's playing a quick draft.
Exactly what he needed to happen.
Yeah, you have to take that Final Vengeance.
Wow. Shuffle and lay out 9 cards to your left.
This guy took a really interesting path. I feel like he didn't prep as much as some of the other people would, like Louis Scott Vargas. Okay, he gets a Murder. Ooh, or a Trial of Agony. Yeah, I think his deck's way more interested in Trial of Agony.
Much more castable than Murder. Not the best.
Trial of Agony is really good when you're really low to the ground like he is. That's actually really nice for him. He's in like the main deck you want to be in to play that card.
He's got double Undead Spring, 9 2-drops at this point. Really aggressive curve, so this is just a really great way to kind of close out the game.
Yeah, this draft has been really going his way. Oh, he gets a Tunnel of Hate anyway? Wow. Dude, this guy is so freaking lucky, dog.
Picked up a ticket booth there.
Like, I don't think that some of his decisions were very logical, but he's just getting hooked up for no reason. He basically just forced his way into red-black with really no reason to do so, then just got past, like, multiple bombs out of fucking nowhere. And, like, a red-black deck without premium cards is, like, terrible.
Affects the board in a big way.
Ooh, Marina Vendrell. Okay, there's another Tunnel of Hate.
Picked up another one.
That's crazy. Wow. Dude, this is disgusting. This guy is just getting hooked the fuck up. Like, what?
At 3, all of a sudden
Hold
you're
up.
just playing too many.
Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Please pass 6 cards to your left.
Look at this pack.
This pack was ridiculous for him.
This is better than his first 2 packs.
Dude, this guy's playing quick draft, bro.
Oh, that's incredible.
He's literally toggling hacks.
5 seconds.
You're not playing that card. Your deck already has enough playables. He was already at like 16 or 17 playables. I think everything that he got out of this pack goes in.
Okay, sure.
Okay, he's just taking that to stop someone. Cool. So he knew that he had made playables. Wait, is that a Terramorphic?
Oh,
What?
That's Fear of Lost Teeth. Very
5
nice.
seconds.
Wait, there was a Terramorphic still in the pack? How? How is that going so late in pack 3? That's ridiculous.
He has 2 or maybe even
Pass
3
4
Wow.
cards to your left.
I probably don't know if I would take the Fear of Lost Teeth. I don't think the second one's that good in his deck. He doesn't have many sack outlets. He just has 2 Final Vengeance and 1 copy of Disturbing Mirth.
Pick up the pack. You have 5 seconds.
I would probably play the Terramorphic. Yeah, he gets another Fear of Lost Teeth. He's not playing 3. Bro, you're not playing 3. Stop lying to yourself. But that pack was literally so rigged for him. He got so rewarded in pack 3. Oh, he might actually put that in his deck.
I think the
Wow.
just makes it in, right? Everything is a
Yeah, that probably makes him to his deck. I think every creature besides Fear of Being Hunted goes in that category. That's crazy.
So what do you think, Paul?
That was
One of the
crazy,
things that
man.
stood out to
Wow.
me, that was a responsible draft by a responsible drafter.
Responsible draft. What was responsible about forcing your way into a color pair that needs essentially signpost cards or rewards for being into it? And then just saying, I'm going to close my eyes and hope I get past a Disturbing Mirth and 2 Undead Sprinter. And then he just does. Like, the packs could have just broken differently. And even if other people weren't taking those cards, they just weren't opened. And he would just have a terrible deck. Like, yeah, you got hooked up in pack 3. But without those 2 Undead Sprinter and the Disturbing Mirth, his deck would just have, like, a lot of mediocre cards and, like, almost no synergies. I mean, he got rewarded, but I wouldn't consider that responsible in any way. I think the most responsible thing to do was he started with a blue card. Not just throw away that pick. Take Bottomless Pool over Scorching Dragonfire, which is arguably a better card in some circumstances, especially since you're starting with 1 blue card into another one. Had he not started with a blue card, let's say he starts with a green card. Okay, I understand that. Because it's very unlikely that an Unable to Scream and a Scorching Dragonfire are going to end up in the same deck. And at the Pro Tour or the Worlds even, you can't afford to just waste your first pick like that. Like, it's actually crazy how rewarded this guy got for how many picks he just straight up threw away at the first pack of the draft. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. When he knew that red-black was flowing, he made good decisions. But before it was undecided, I don't think he was being responsible at all. All right, let's see what this guy's final deck is. Think about this. I feel like when he was offered that Fear of Lost Teeth, and he already had a copy of it, he also had 2 Tunnel of Hate, so he had, like, fodder for days, and a Percussionist. I 100% think he should have taken that Terramorphic, because remember, he has a Razorkin Needlehead, and he has a Fear of Being Hunted, 2 double red cards. And like Paul Cheon just said, ideally he would like to have, like, a 10-7 split or 11-6 split. And the Terramorphic just drastically increases his chances to be able to play Needlekin on 2 or Fear of Being Hunted on 3, which are 2 of his better cards. Or just be able to play Undead Sprinter on 2, right? Like, I just think that was kind of a miss. So overall, I don't think this deck is bad. What I do think, though, is it's kind of bad in terms of, like, if he goes second, I feel like he's going to be at a larger disadvantage, right? Like, it's cool that he's playing 16 lands. I respect that. But I just feel like in this format, maybe it's a little bit more different at the highest level, where decks are just going to be a little bit worse on average. You almost just need to have a super, super premium level of card quality to guarantee success with an aggro deck. Because there's just so many ways to stabilize against aggro in this format. There's so many cards that create tokens. There's so many cards that allow you to manifest dread and like just make wide defensive units even when you're not a go wide deck. Like in green, you know, you can go turn 1 Patchwork Beastie, turn 2 Say Its Name. Now all of a sudden the red-black aggro player is facing down a 3/3 on turn 3. And then they also have, you know, another creature. And it's like, okay, now I have to waste my Final Vengeances or my Scorching Dragonfire to get rid of this 1 mana card that is a 3/3. And the guy has like a Spine Seeker Centipede. And the Spine Seeker Centipede becomes 3/3 because the guy's deck's good at Delirium. And now all he has to do is stick any medium-sized drop or any like powerful signpost or card that pulls you into a color. And then there's just no way you can win in the grind game, right? And I just feel like he could have had a much better deck by ending up blue-green splashing red and really just trying to take advantage of that first original Unable to Scream pick and not waste that Misty Salon Smoky Lounge that he was gifted, because he would have ended up with quite a few rooms. You know, he probably could have still afforded to splash 1 or 2 Tunnel of Hates, maybe a Defaced Gallery if he wanted to in that blue-green base deck. Just because he could have also gotten 2 Terramorphic Expanse, a blue-green land, I think he would have been overall rewarded way better. Sure, he wouldn't have had any, like, game-ending bombs, but that deck would have had a lot of consistency, and it would have had a really strong late game, which is just something that's my personal preference in this format. But I want to know what you guys think. What did you think about how this draft turned out? Do you think that he made the right decisions? Do you think it would have been better to end up in a blue-green splashing red deck like I do? Or do you think something completely different? Let me know what you think about Simon's draft down below in the comments. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We're going to be doing another review of the day 2 draft for Duskmourn. I don't know if that one is going to be live immediately, but it will be coming out either this weekend or sometime next week. So I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching all through the video. If you want to see more awesome card game content in general, make sure to smash the like button, turn post notifications on, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another banger. And as always, if it's not the goo, it's got to go. Peace.
Is that indigo?